Hi there and welcome to this video. My name is Andy Rowe and this is trendfollower.co.uk. It's Saturday the 23rd of May 2015, and what I'm going to do in this video is to look at my positions that are already open and see how they're doing. So come along and see what's going on, because there are a couple of trades that were quite interesting this week. Starting off with Amara Mining, which went up this week, which is a good thing because I went long Amara last summer, and it's not done very well really. It's just bumbling along. Anyway, it went up a bit this week, so that's great. BT Group went down a bit. You can see where I went long BT earlier this year. It rose and it sort of seems to be struggling to get up much higher, but you know, it's okay. BTG, however, fell down and triggered off its stop loss. You can see I bought it pretty much at the peak here, and if I open up the graph, you can see why I wanted to go long BTG. It's a pharmaceutical company, and it had been rising nicely since really since the sort of depths of the recession in 2008. Of course, I wish I'd bought it back here, but I didn't. I bought it at the peak, and it's been falling down, rising, and I had hoped I was getting away with it, but this last week I didn't. The price of BTG PLC fell down and triggered off my stop loss, so I'm out of this trade for a loss. So that's a shame. But you know, the nice thing about the way I trade is that I only risk a modest amount on each trade. I add one trade per week, and you know, some of them are going to be losers like this. So you know, this hasn't killed off my trading account. It's just killed off one of my trades. So anyway, that was BTG. Carclo has gone up. This is a specialist plastics manufacturer. You can see why I bought it. The share price is rising from a low that it made last autumn. It burst through the MA50, and the MA20 crossed over the MA50 a few weeks ago. It made a new high a few weeks ago. So I'm long Carclo, and that seemed to do okay this week. It went up. Debenhams, I'm long Debenhams. You can see why again, and this week not much change really with Debenhams. Dexian Absolute, however, which is a financial company, went up. This is doing nicely. My stop loss is down below the MA50, which is pretty much where I like to trade from, and you can see that my stop loss would have been down here when I started, and my stop loss has been rising. So I've probably covered half of my risk with my stop loss on Dexian Absolute. So you know, just keep grinding away. If it keeps going like this, you know, I could be in this trade for years. Let's open it up. You can see, generally speaking, it's yeah, you know, it's been rising nicely since 2012. So will it keep going? Who knows? EasyJet. Now this is an awful trade, sadly. You can see why I was interested in buying it, going long, and I had a couple of goes at buying it with a stop order where I would set an order to buy it if the trade rose above the high of the previous week. And over a number of weeks this didn't happen, and then a couple of weeks ago the price did rise up above the high of the previous week, triggered off my buy order, and then promptly fell right down. So my stop loss is down here. So it was pretty close to my stop loss in about 2 weeks, which is awful. But what can I do about it? Nothing, you know. But I'll keep the stop loss there. It'll trigger it if it goes down further, and that'll be the end of the deal. Again, like the other BTG trade, you know, if it closes, it closes, and I'll make a loss. And but that happens with some of the trades. You know, buying it, you know, going long here made sense. It was rising, and I was hoping to get it, you know, at a slightly better deal, which I did. But you know, the market wasn't kind to EasyJet, and it's fallen right back. So I will certainly, you know, use the stop loss. I don't want to have this share go down and down and down and down. So I will keep the stop loss in place, and if I lose out, I lose out. Evraz, this came down a bit this week. This is an industrial metals and mining company. Again, you can see my stop loss has been rising. I'm still not completely covered. If the share price went right down, I would take a hit on this, but only probably about less than half of the risk that I opened the trade with. So the risk has been reducing gradually on this trade. I hope that the price will go up again and my stop loss will keep going up, trailing on behind, but we shall see. Now H&T, this is a new trade which I opened last week, and this is a pawnbroker. So when people are having tough times and want to raise cash, they'll take things along to H&T and raise some cash from whatever it is they've taken along, and they also lend money out. And you can see that it had been rising, so I went long, and the price of H&T has gone up this week, so that's fine. Let's just open the graph up. Now you can see how back in the depths of the recession, 2009, the price was down here. It rose strongly, had a bit of a setback, rose again, and then tailed off and fell right back in 2013. Since when it's been rising. We'll see how H&T does. I mean, that looks like it's a good trade this week, but time will tell. Indivior, this is a pharmaceutical company, and I went long Indivior a couple of weeks ago, and it hasn't really done much since then, so nothing much to report. Man Group, this was my wonder trade from last year. This was going up like a homesick angel and doing very well, but then a few weeks ago started to reverse, and I was a bit nervous about what was happening, but you can see my stop loss has been rising up with the MA50, and even if it hit the stop loss, I'd make a profit on the trade, so that's good. But if I open up the graph, you can see it's come down from quite a high and is rising. I'm hoping to obviously reach those highs again, but whether that'll happen without my stop loss being triggered, I don't know, but that's all I can do is just go with it. So anyway, a better week for Man Group. Merlin Entertainments, the previous weeks had been doing well. This week it rose but fell back a little bit. I'm still in profit on this trade, so again my stop loss is down here, so way away, and I'll just crank it up gradually. Northgate, this share price is going sideways. This is the car hire company, van hire, car hire, and it's sort of going nowhere at the moment. So this last week fell back. The week before did well. Up, down, up, down. My stop loss is rising, so my risk has reduced on this trade. But you could say, as the stop loss cranks in closer to the price, that the risk of the stop loss being triggered is getting higher, which is true. Nove Group. So this is a non-life insurer. They did spectacularly well after I bought them, and unlike most of my trades, and then a few weeks ago fell right back, and I was feeling sick. But then these past few weeks have been very kind to Nove Group again, so the price of the share has risen significantly. So again, I'm just cranking the share price, the stop loss up below the MA50. So you can see, potentially it came down from very high, and it's been all over the place really, but generally it's been rising. So I'm hoping to track on that. Now this next one is the really interesting one. Look at this. Plus 500. This is the company that supplies a CFD platform. It's an Israeli company listed on the AIM alternative investment market. Their share price fell through the floor this week. In spite of having been very highly rated in Stockopedia, they fell right down. So my stop loss was underneath the MA50, which it normally is. So I was taken out about here, and that's the good thing about having a stop loss, is that if I'd bought the shares or the CFDs and had a stop loss that was way down, or no stop loss at all, my share price would have gone from what was it, 800 pretty much up here, so £8 down to £2. So I'd have lost 75% of the value of my investment. So I didn't. My stop loss was close in below the MA50. I was taken out here, so I lost lost, pretty much 1 times the risk that I put on the trade. In fact, slightly less than that, because over the weeks since I bought it, I've been raising the stop loss up as the MA50 rose, so I didn't even lose all of the risk that I opened the trade with. So so that's good and bad. That's quite a shocker, isn't it? So if I'd put a significant percentage of my investment account into this, then I'd be feeling really really bad. But I didn't. So I just put a certain amount in. So I wasn't hit too badly. Red Group went up this week. That's good. Segro, no real change really. This seems to be going sideways. So so this company is a real estate investment trust which owns warehouses and all sorts of stuff in the Thames Valley and over on the continent. So it's been a bit all over the place, but basically it's sort of tracking sideways at the moment. You can see what my stop loss is doing. I want Segro to rise. We shall see. Telecity went up nicely this week, so so that's great. I had moved my stop loss up to break even. I think when I had this rise, I didn't want to lose out on that. And you can see where the share price fell down and was getting quite close to my stop loss, just getting me a bit twitchy. But a couple of weeks ago it went right up, and now the MA50 is pretty much up at this same level. So I'm going to just track up below the MA50. You can see, it's been an interesting share to trade really. So it's done well. It's had a few little hiccups. Obviously a setback in 2013 and into 2014, but seems to be rising up again. So long may that continue. Over on the continent, TR European Growth Trust has done very nicely. It had a few weeks of going sideways after I bought it, and I was sort of getting a bit bored of the trade. Always a dangerous thing when you start getting bored of a trade. Start to fiddle with it. I didn't, and it went up nicely this week. So that's great. I'm just going to keep ratcheting the stop loss up below the MA50. We're following the money here. I'm following the money here. Quantitative easing is hopefully going to be good news for shares on the continent. Victoria Oil and Gas went up a little bit this week, so there they are. I still got this dilemma about my stop loss, which is way down here. What I want in some ways is to get up to break even. So I'm nervous about that share price coming down further still, particularly if the oil price falls, which I think it could fall a bit more. Or it could fall again, and that if I put my stop loss here could just kick this trade out of touch, which would be a shame, because you can see it's coming from way down, and so this is really a kind of a recovery trade, and I think if I crank in the stop loss too quickly, I'll be out of it. So I think I'm just going to keep my stop loss down here really until the price goes up significantly more. Workspace Group, again, this is a real estate investment trust. This rose this week, so that's great. And I think that's all my trades. So yeah, a lot of them are doing really well. EasyJet, did really badly, but the trade is still open. BTG closed for a loss, but not a full one risk loss. Plus 500 closed and lost me. Yeah, not quite 1 times my risk, but enough to be. It's always annoying to have trades close and lose money, particularly in the early stages of the trade, because that's where the risk is highest. As time goes by, you can see how I reduce the risk on the trade, and if it's a couple of months, 3 months down the line that the trade goes the wrong way, well, it tends not to lose so much money. But if it happens early on in the life of the trade, that's when the risk is highest, and there's no way around that really. So that's just the way the cookie crumbles. So I've had a couple of trades go against me, but a lot of the trades are doing pretty well. So we'll see how it goes. So have a great week. Hope you enjoyed that, and happy trading.